Welcome back to another episode of Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. On this week's episode, we're going to pair some reptiles and show you what breeding season is all about. You'll probably notice in most of the species that I keep, I don't have just one of them. I've got several animals of the same species, and that's because I want to breed reptiles. It's something that I enjoy doing. There's nothing more exciting than opening up a container and seeing that eggs have been laid, or even better, eggs have hatched, and you got some babies going on in your reptile collection. Now, the incubator is up and running. I'm expecting some eggs from some of my leopard geckos, so we're going to show you that. We're going to show you some ball pythons. We're going to show you some hognose and breeding those. But first, here's an animal that I haven't told you guys about. It's a special surprise that the title alluded to. I've got myself a boa constrictor. I've had this boa constrictor for almost a year now. A buddy of mine just dumped her on me. It was kind of something I didn't choose to get, but something that I'm glad that I have. When I got her, she was about half this size, so you'll notice she's quite large. She's about 4 feet, 4.5 feet. She's about 2 years old. Before I got her, I don't think she was really fed as much as she should have been fed. But now I've got her, and I can take really good care of her. And she's got a really good size enclosure for her. I think it equals 136 gallons. It's 18 by 24 by 48. So it's going to be able to house her for most of her life, and then eventually once she gets to about 6 feet, or 5.5 feet, I'm going to build something for her. In the summertime this year, we're going to build something outside. We'll do a video about it. And I think in one of the episodes that I did previously, we talked about taking apart the rack, one of the racks that's behind me here, and making an enclosure for a surprise reptile. Well, here's your surprise reptile. And this reptile doesn't lay eggs. Boa constrictors give live birth, which means they will in fact get pregnant rather than grab it. And they will eventually let go of a bunch of different babies. And they're in these little umbilical sacs. I think there's a different name for them. Basically, they're umbilical sacs, and they pop open, and it seems amazing to have happen, but I don't really want to breed boa constrictors. So here's Franny, the boa constrictor, which I didn't show you in the reptile room tour. One more reptile that I'll show you that has nothing to do with this video is Bob. We talked about Bob before. In a few weeks, we're going to do a jeweled lacerda video. That's what Bob is. Bob had a girlfriend. He no longer does. He's got metabolic bone disease, and he walks kind of like a T-Rex, if a T-Rex had to walk on 4 legs. So this is Bob, but let's now move on to the meat and potatoes of the episode now, shall we? Now first we're going to put some ball pythons together. So here you'll see we've got 2 ball pythons together. The male is the albino one. The female is the normal looking one. She is heterozygous for albino, which means that she carries the trait. Like I explained last week, if your mom has blue eyes and your dad doesn't, but you come out with blue eyes, your dad is het for blue eyes. So that means that these snakes will produce albino babies. Hopefully, the person I bought them from said they put out a clutch of 5 eggs 2 years ago, and 2 of them were albino. So hopefully they prove out. Hopefully that person was being honest. That's the thing with buying snakes. You never know, but in this hobby, I've noticed it's generally a pretty honest crowd. We're all trying to help out each other. Something great about reptiles. So these guys here, I'll just give you a basic rundown. I'm not going to go into full depth on how to breed these types of animals. If you want to know, put it in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to make a video on breeding whatever type of reptile you want, as long as I know what I'm talking about. So with ball pythons, generally you want to cool them down, and then you put them together for a while, basically, in a nutshell. I don't really cool them down. I put them in a rack that doesn't have any heat for a little while, and then I heat them back up and put them together. Make sure that they start eating, and then I put them together. Now, I haven't seen these 2 locked. They've been together for, today is Wednesday, since Monday, 2 days. This is the 3rd day they've been together. But I didn't check on them at all yesterday, save for to pour some water, so they might have been locked. I don't know. And generally what's going to happen is a ball python clutch could be 2 eggs, it could be 8, generally somewhere in that area, 3 to 8 mostly. I've had a couple 5 clutchers. That's basically my experience with breeding ball pythons. So hopefully this year we get some baby albino ball pythons. We'll do another episode completely about ball python breeding, but let's move on to something else. I looked over here because two of the ladies, the geckos here, were screaming across. These two lady geckos here are not old enough to breed yet, but hopefully next season they'll be ready to go. Now, speaking about leopard gecko breeding, we've got some beautiful leopard geckos, and let's go ahead right now and let's put some leopard geckos together. Now, breeding leopard geckos is relatively simple, or the pairing portion of the breeding is pretty simple anyway. Here's what you do. You open up one of the tubs. And you grab yourself a leopard gecko. This here is Cheech. He is Tremper albino. I think he is anyway. We're going to find out if he proves out to be Tremper. Last year I paired him with a Bell because I thought maybe he'd be a Bell. Didn't prove out. So this year we're going to put him with a Tremper and see how it goes. So then you find your Tremper, which is this girl here. There's your Tremper. And if you want to make it super easy for yourself, put you back in there, you can just take his whole hide, because you're probably going to leave him in there for a day or two, and just shove him and his whole hide right into the female's enclosure. So this is the boy, and I always put boy into female enclosure. It's just the way that I do it, and this year I've got fewer leopard geckos, so it'll be easy to keep track. So Cheech here is going to go in with Millie, and take him out in a couple days. We'll see what happens. So sometimes with leopard geckos, you'll notice that as soon as you put the male in, he's ready to go. Just like that. His tail's going to start wagging, or kind of like a vibration more than anything else. And as I was saying, a vibration more than anything else. In this instance, he just went right after the female. I wish I was filming that. And they're not locked. She's kind of run away. She's hiding behind her little hide there. Don't know if you can hear that. But that is the vibration that I was talking about. So they are going to lock, and if I can find them, if I can get them when they're locking, I'll shoot a video about it. But I think we're done talking about leopard geckos for now, so let's move on to hognose snakes. I think I mentioned before that when I go after larger hognose snakes, especially in breeding season at the very beginning when they are ready to eat, I use a hook. Because I've never been bitten by a hognose snake before, and if you're not aware, they are mildly venomous, or rear fang venomous, whatever you want to call it. So you're not going to die if one bites you, but it's going to swell your hand up, likely, if you have a reaction to it. So here's how I go ahead and here's how I deal with my hognose pairings. Now, I know I said normally for leopard geckos, I take the male and I put it into the female enclosure. The male that I have, I'll show you right now, is not a happy camper ever. I don't handle him at all. But at the same time, I don't want to get bit by him, and I don't want to stir him up too much, stress him out too much. So I take my female, who usually is a gentle giant, and I put her in with the male. So let's do that right now. So here we have a large female hognose snake who is very upset that I am holding her like this. So let's put her in where she belongs. And if you can hear that, that's why I don't pick up the male. Anyway, she turned back and she actually tried to nip me, which is not a normal hognose trait. But it is breeding season and they act a little bit weird during breeding season. Normally I can go in and pick her out and I won't even use a hook. But she's a little bit nippy. So that is how you breed hognose snakes. Basically, same thing. I don't cool my hognose snakes down. Instead, I light cycle them. So I turn the heat tape off. I don't put them in a cool room or a wine cooler. And then I change the light cycle so that the days become shorter, and that goes for all my animals because the lights in this room mostly are just the 3 enclosures on the side here, which I've showed you before, where the boa is now up top and where Bob Lacerda is, and in the bottom one where the glass doesn't fit anymore, so it's vacant. But that's how I do it. I change the light cycle a bit and I turn off the heat tape, turn the heat tape back on, feed, and then I start pairing them. Basically, that's how I breed hognose snakes. So I've never successfully bred hognose snakes before, so we're going to find out if that's a good way to do it or not. So keep tuning into these videos and you'll see if we come up with some baby hognose snakes or not. So there you have it. I paired some reptiles today, I put them together, and hopefully we're going to get some copulation going, and eventually eggs, and then babies. I've been pretty successful so far with leopard geckos, somewhat successful with ball pythons, and hognose is what got me into reptiles in the first place, so I'm really hoping for the first time we can get some hognose babies together, because I've got this beautiful pairing, and I'm really hoping that they prove out to be heterozygous for albino, the male that is, and get some little albino hognose snakes, because they are just so darn cute. So keep tuning in for future videos. Thank you for watching today. If you do like the video, please consider subscribing. We're doing new videos every Monday until we get to 100 subscribers, and then we're going to do 2 a week. So until next time, this has been Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. I'll see you next Monday.